Hi sir, this is the code recording for student number 104399147. Starting at the type effect method, I used the class type effect. I made a method called type effect with string message. Over here, which essentially what I'm doing is I'm making it more AI bot looking. It will read each line, each letter, and it will display each letter every 50 milliseconds. Next, I overloaded the method to allow for different colors to make it look better. The reason why I overloaded it is it allows for more flexibility. Over here in the ASCII class, I used the method called print ASCII, and I am printing the logo of the app, of the console app. For the greetings file, I used the try catch method. For me it was a lot better for error handling. Over here I initiated the string called file path, and what this is doing is it's retrieving the file from the base directory of welcome.wav. So it's getting the wave file, and let's say if the file does not exist, if the file path does not exist, that means it's not in this file path of the project. It needs to be in the debug file path. For me to play the sound, I need to instantiate a sound player, and I named it player, and it's retrieving from file path. So for me to ensure that it loads, I gotta make sure that to ensure that it plays, I need to make sure that it's loaded first, and once it's loaded it can play. I used play sync, so it will play, wait for everything else to run, then once the wave file is finished, all the other code will run. So with these are all the exceptions that I used. File not found, cannot be found, directory not found, it's not in the application directory. Essentially they don't know where it is. Invalid operation, the file is not in the correct format, the file is not accessible for this one. Unauthorized access, it is not accessible, I'm not allowed to access it at all. And then if these all don't apply, then it's give me a general error message. Now for the responses, I got a dictionary. I used a dictionary. The responses were all generated by Copilot, GitHub Copilot. I named it _response. I initiated it. So now to get the response, I used used a method called getResponse. This is basically checking if it's empty, and then to make sure everything can be retrieved and no hassle of trying to understand it, I made everything lowercase. So this will get rid of all unnecessary spaces, and this will make it all lowercase. This checks the input if it contains any keywords from the dictionary. This is what it does basically. Let's say if the lower input contains key, that's the response. But if the response is a reference to another key, return the response instead. That's response. Otherwise you just return response. Basically, yes, it's basically just returning that, otherwise returning this as well. And after that is done, it's return chat response to suit this. So this is method chat response using input. Pretty sure this also used input. Yes, string input. Again, if this is null, error message. Also trimming to the lower case and trimming to get rid of all the unnecessary spaces. Basic responses from the user with the AI bot, the chat bot, and then this is when it doesn't understand. Let's say you enter like a random number, it's not going to understand the question, so now it's going to ask, can you please rephrase that, or these are not mentioned at all, so then it's going to ask you to rephrase that so it can actually help you. Then we go into communications class and you check this is private, cannot be accessed outside of the class. So this is boolean, checks if the input is valid. So if these, let's say again, if it's empty, gonna return false. If it's longer than 500, so you can't actually give a random question that's like a, say, a paragraph question, you cannot ask that because it's not the point of the usage of the chatbot. So these two will return false. If these two are not applied to the situation, then it's going to return true. And the same can be done for this. This is essentially the same thing, but I used the for each loop for this. I instantiated a char called C in name. This is name. You can say this checks if the character is a letter or white space. If it's not a letter, if a non-letter is found, or let's say it's blank. If a non-letter is found, it's going to display that. Otherwise, if these things do not come into play, it's true. This is also a boolean, so yeah, it's going to return true. So now this is the chatbot. I instantiated the two classes, response and type effect, because I want to use them. So I put them in there. I used the colors for responses and inputs. So far this is the base name is false because there's no input at all, and that's the name to get the actual name of the person. So over here now we're using while loop, and the while loop will run until the name is valid. So this will read until the name is valid constantly, or not stop running. And once the name is valid, this will come into play. It's going to say hello name, how may I help you today. Now for this will run until it's true. This while loop, let's say loop this loop will run until exit until this. It's going to ask you to exit, so this loop will run constantly, and it's going to keep on asking you questions. It's going to keep on asking for responses. It will only stop once this is done. once it asks you for this. Let's say you type in this, it's going to ask you for that. It's going to not ask you, it's going to give you that, and it's going to continue to run like that. So if valid input, so if the so it's going to read the user input. If you type in exit, it's going to give you that, and it will break the loop, and it's going to goodbye. For this, it's going to continue because the user input is not valid at all, so it will continue with this until this is true, and then it's going to use the input and you're going to trim it. Now it's going to look for the responses from the dictionary, and if it's not the dictionary, then you're just going to get it from the chatbot response, right? So now if the response is longer than 300 characters, then it's just going to want to exit. They don't want it that long. Not going to exit, it's more just going to give the response. The response at all, it's going to give it all at once. It's not going to have a AI user-friendly response, but it's just going to give it because it's going to take too long. So now with the type effect, if it's shorter, then it's going to use the type effect, right? So over here, now it's basically using all the methods. Essentially, we're going to use all the methods. Communication class is going to be impacted here. Let's say the welcoming message, that's basically saying that the chatbot is responding. This can play the voice message, print the ASCII logo, resetting color before start chat bot. It's accessing communication class to make sure everything's running. Remember, when you press exit in the communication, when the chatbot's asking you, it's going to ask you press any key to exit, and once any key is printed or is typed in, it's going to end the thing.